those were the 7 prepared questions, and now each candidate gets a closing statement. And since we started on Steve's side with the questions, we'll start over on Kristen's side with the closing statements.
Well, in closing, I'd like to say that I believe my track record speaks for itself. And in 2008, I made several campaign statements that I said I would be fiscally responsible and cut spending. I would have tried to do that to the best of my ability without cutting services. I've worked hard to be an effective public servant. I support the needs of the community, promote responsible economic development, do my best to find solutions to your concerns, work to protect our city's rural feel and natural beauty, support pedestrian and neighborhood safety, invite participants and interests of all interests into shaping our strategic direction, and give you honest and responsive answers to make government work for you. And I believe I've held that up. On the accomplishments, I've resolved several things. There were mobile home, didn't have its parking lot paved for 30 years. They had water supply issues. They're still on well water. That was taken care of. Many people don't know that there are another zip code in the city of Franklin. It took several years to get accomplished the 53221 zip code to get the Franklin Rec Guide. And that's been accomplished, something people have wanted for a long time. A number of outstanding drainage issues have been resolved. I still have other ones I'm working on. I've pushed for practical and safe design of sidewalks at the high school for students, for parents at sport events. Permanently vacated Sycamore, which people didn't want the traffic from Walmart coming through, and protected the only safe walking access to Pleasant View School with an approved plan for an effective westward solution for the access.
Next, Bob Schick's closing statement.
I think my past is not being political. Hopefully, in many ways, is a positive thing, because my work as far as I'm concerned, in the military, and working with at-risk kids, I've actually worked and started up 2 boot camps for juveniles, where I've had to work with gangbangers out of the inner city. My history, if you will, of 28 years in the military and within education has been, I think my forte has been building consensus. I'm very passionate about what I believe in. I fight what I believe for, but I'll tell you something. In the military, the sergeants were the ones that told me what they thought. And I had to respond and work with the sergeants. Nobody's ever worked for me. I've always worked for others. And that's what I want to do for Franklin. I don't know all the answers. I do know one thing. I'm aggressive enough to find them out. And that's where I'm at as far as what I would like to do in Franklin. To be able to work on the problems that we've got as far as fiscal responsibility, it's going to be key. But I think how we get that fiscal responsibility is also going to be key. So the process of getting there is going to have to take consensus, not individual thoughts by individual people. Thank you. And thank you very much for this forum.
Next up, Pete Kosivich.
Well, I want to say that some have accused me of being non-vocal and not assertive. I like to hope that I've changed your opinion of me in that respect tonight. I can be vocal and assertive when necessary. It isn't always necessary. You can be calm and rational without losing your credibility. And so when it comes to issues that need to be addressed, I like to come into any issue with an open mind. I like to hear both sides of an issue and then make a decision, because every decision has pros and cons. So you have to be able to listen. You can't come into something with a preconceived notion and say, I don't care what anybody else says, this is what I want. Because it's not about what I want. It's about what the people in Franklin want. I am here to serve the people of Franklin. I've been a business owner for 31 years. I deal with many different types of personalities. And I've never taken psychology, so I can't sit there and categorize this is a type 1, type 2, whatever. I'm not here a big student of body language. I just go by my gut. I go with what I feel, what I believe, and what I think is right. And I've always acted on behalf of the people of Franklin. I've never done anything with the thought of personal gain. I'm here to serve the people of Franklin. I would like to be the next alderman again of the 4th District. And I will say that the receptions I've been getting at the doors has been very good. So I'm encouraged, and I want to remain positive, and I want to continue with a positive campaign. I want people to know what I did when I was an alderman and what I'm going to do if I get reelected. Thank you.
Okay, closing remarks by Steve Taylor.
Well, I'm actually excited about this election. I think everybody should have an opponent. I think when you go unopposed, you don't get to really get enough feedback. Not that I don't spend enough time throughout the course of the term working with the constituents and getting feedback, but you at least need to get to know where you stand. And I'll be really curious where I stand with the residents of the 4th District, because I've been one that has been vocal, assertive, and you know, it's one thing to want to be an alderman. It's another thing to know what to do when you get there. And I think that's the biggest difference. You know, these are very challenging times. They're going to be worse. And I think you have to have someone with a little forward thinking and have a little experience from maybe outside the area. And I've done that. You know, like I said in the beginning, you don't get do-overs. You just take the best information possible and you vote. And yeah, the next day, you feel good about what you did. I've done that every single time we've had a meeting. The next day, I've been comfortable with my votes. Now, hindsight's 20/20. Are there things we thought would have turned out a different way? Yeah, but you don't know that till after the fact. So I'm just gonna wrap it up. Pete, I know, said that the first time we ran, I said, I want your job now, and you said you want it back. So I know his flyers are out there, and it says, repeat Pete. One of my constituents came up with a real good line. It's re-defeat Pete. So that's what I plan on doing.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank the candidates for being so good with the stopwatch, except for,
The one that
I mean, I don't mean to point fingers, but just remember.
I can take it.
So remember, we have 2 candidates for District 4, Steve Taylor, Pete Kosivich. 2 candidates for District 3, Kristen.